What up? What up? What up? What's going on, my people? We back another episode, Fiyah Session podcast. As usual, got my guy Benji Banks, the man, the brand, with me.
What's happening, my man?
And we also got a special guest today.
What?
No people, you are not seeing Benji on two different cameras. That is not the same. That is Benji's brother.
This is the first version. He's the second version.
Yeah. I say I know people gonna look like, is that Benji on the camera twice? Like, what is going on?
You're not seeing double.
That's my dude right there. That's bro. He's the reason I'm alive today. So that's forever love.
What it is. Love.
Yes, sir.
So y'all already know. Every week we're gonna come to you with some great content, great story. Today, no different. We're gonna be talking about, based on a true story, we're gonna be talking about Benji and his brother Cecil. We're gonna be talking about their upbringing, their life, their experiences. But before we jump into that, Benji was talking to me before the show. Y'all already know Benji, it's a constant thing. He's out in Cali, so he brags about the weather.
Yeah.
So we're talking about how hot it is in Texas.
Yeah.
But Benji, this ain't the same sun that we had when we was kids, because 80 degrees now will burn your skin off.
Listen, man.
Listen,
you know Texas, you know the sun. I don't know what it is. The sun just seems a little different. You know what I'm saying?
Man, I told Benji
different.
Yeah, I told Benji before the show, Al Gore, I mean, when we was kids, Al Gore used to talk about the ozone layer all the time. And we used to look at that, be like, man, ain't no ozone layer, you know, all this, hypothetical stuff. Man, there had to be an ozone layer because it's gone now and we paying the consequences for it. Because I don't care if you got tint on your car, that sun will burn
that sun coming through
the side of the car. That's crazy.
Like fish grease.
Yeah.
But we see in Cali, the difference is we get a nice breeze with our sun. So, you know what I'm saying? And then normally, 72, 75, 73, 70.
Yeah, y'all got the ocean. Y'all got the ocean to help with the breeze. That's why.
You know what I'm saying? So, we in there. You know what I'm saying? But I still love my Texas folk. You know what I'm saying? I still love y'all.
Like I say all the time, Cali got breeze and Cali got fees because it costs money to stay out
No doubt. Keep your bread up out here, or you go
big money.
You can't play out here. You got to swim in deep waters with the sharks.
Definitely a trade-off, but hey, we appreciate y'all kicking it with us today. We're gonna hop right in. We're gonna let Benji drive today, and he's gonna start the conversation to talk about their upbringing and talk about different experiences in our life. So Benji, my man, kick it off, man.
Well, first off, this is long overdue. I got my big bro on today, man. So this one's special for me. But we're gonna dive in, man, and ask some questions and talk about some stuff, man, we kind of grew up with. That my bro Cecil, my bro, was more of an open book about. Me, I kind of just sporadically talked about it here and there. But overall, man, we're gonna dive into our story. My mama got her on the t-shirt, Evelyn Elaine Banks. So we're gonna talk about this, and we're gonna dive into some stuff, man. Of course, from D-Town, from Dallas, Texas. So nothing but love all the way back home. And see, bro got on the Luka jersey, so you know what I'm saying.
I had to represent on here. I'm out here. I live in Arizona, so I have to make sure I big up my city. They gave me life.
Right. And I mean, so as we're gonna get it more and more, dive into the topic and the discussion, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna talk about where we come from, things of that nature. But I'm gonna kick this off first and just ask this question. He probably ain't gonna answer it because you know what I'm saying, he's a little biased or whatever. But bro, will you tell folks who my actual football team was coming up as a kid? Is he gonna say it?
Well, I mean, I don't like the people. I never did like the people. The San Francisco 49ers, the dude, I don't know what happened to him. In all fairness, we lived in California at a certain time, when my heart got broke, You know, it was when the Cowboys lost in the championship. A lot of y'all might know. I'm sure my age, Cats. You know, I
Yeah.
cried for many days after that. I think he was running around laughing.
Of course I would.
So he didn't know. You know, I think he was like 4 or something because I was 8. So you know, he didn't really know what was going on. But I just always saw a little smirk on his face, and I just always wanted to knock it off his face. And now knowing that, now all this time, fast forward, he's a 49er fan. I know why he was smirking back then. So yeah.
See, so there you go. So we got that out of the way because all the skeptics, you know what I'm saying, they call me the sports orphan and all of this type of stuff. You know I like the name though. But
more like a bandwagon, but you know
what I'm saying? So it's pretty straight, it's pretty chill. But like I said, man, this story is gonna get pretty personal. And we're going to dive into some things. First off, bro, let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
You were older than me at that time. And we're talking about back in 87, 88. What during that time, and we're going to break it down and go into it. I'm going to let you do more of the talking from that aspect because you were older. What stood out the most during that time when we were in Pleasant Grove, Texas, from your perspective?
Okay. What stood out the most as far as our upbringing, or what stood out the most? To me, what stood out the most was the discipline and structure our mom had.
Right.
I didn't realize we was in the hood of Pleasant Grove until after our mom passed away because of how disciplined she was. Because she kept it like. Where I was green. I ain't gonna even lie, I was green as the grass, green as the pool table, Price Square. But that was something that stood out, her way of sheltering us from things that was outside around us.
Right. And I personally believe, of course, growing up older now and understanding the dynamics of it, of course, being mom, she understood everything at that time and she was being protector. You get what I'm saying? So with that being said, talk to me, because I'm going to glean from you as well. Remember, we've talked about this, but we really haven't went in length.
Haven't really talked, you're
right. You know what I'm saying? We haven't really went in length. The pieces I remember and the pieces I have, you have way more in depth. Like I said, you were older at the time. I know I would come to you about certain things, but let's kind of start the story off with this aspect. And I want to ask you this. Being 12 at the time and being in Pleasant Grove, Texas, what, from your opinion, when this all was taking place, everything was going on, what were you thinking at the time? What were you feeling at the time? Because I know you green, everything's going on. What were you thinking at the time? Like any anxieties you can remember, any moments, any things you can remember? Just kind of talk to us about that for a minute.
Honestly, at the time, kind of like our mom put me. I was her oldest born, and I was born a day after her birthday, and so she kind of put a lot of heavy shit on my shoulders at an early age from Jump Street, from where it said go, it was on me. So I was more honestly, I was like, yo, can I get away from her? That's how I was thinking at the time, because I wasn't really soaking in what she was giving me. I was green, but I was only green because I hadn't went out and experienced it. I wasn't green for as far as knowledge of it, because actually she told me about everything along the way. Me being her oldest son, she reared me, and not having a father in the house or dad in the house, she had to be mom and dad. So, she would recognize the moment times when she was giving the motherly love and quickly check herself and realize she had to give whatever she thought was a resemblance of what a father would be given to her son, especially knowing that she had 2 sons, me and you at the time, you know what I mean? And so I was just in my mode of can the top come off for me? I've been living under this, because she fed so much information that I was like, what am I doing with this? Why are you telling me this? Why you know what I mean? But she had more far more insight than I had because she could see farther into our lives beyond her life, and especially beyond my life at that age. Anyway, you know what I mean. But I mean, back to answer your question, I was honestly, I was just like, yeah, when can I just go be a kid? You know what I'm saying? I all this stuff is, I don't want to hear all that. Like, that's too much responsibility. That's too much on my shoulders. Like, I just want to be a kid.
Right. And just wanting to be that kid, you guys provided that for me because y'all sheltered me. She was hooked, with you, but you were looking out for me even when I was, I'm a little one. I still remember days when you you was watching me, you know what I'm saying? You what, 10, 11, 12 years old, you watching me all day.
Nah,
You know
bro,
and I don't even remember how I was, bro. Talk to me about that. Like, how was I back then?
Listen, it goes back farther than 10, 12. Let me tell you, hold on, it was a different time back then. You know, the way we was raised back then, we wouldn't dare raise our children the same way. And to further elaborate, let me answer one part of that. The reason why I sheltered you is because my moms used to tell me, for lack, better words, excuse my French, but shit rolls downhill. You know what I mean? So what if you fucked up? She wasn't gonna whoop your ass. She was gonna whoop my ass.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I had already seen that play out so many times to the point where I was on your ass so that you could cover my ass because I had to be good for me and you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Seriously. Because mom was cold-blooded. And so back to the other point where you talk about me watching you, I actually babysit you when I was 5 years old. Mom left you and I see, I was born in 74, you were born in 78. So by the time you was born in 78, I was 4 years and some change. By the time you was 5 months old, we was living in Grand Prairie. Mom, was going through different things as a single mom and with different men in her life, you know what I mean, trying to find the right man for her and her boys, you know what I mean? That's a crapshoot sometimes, especially back in those days.
Right.
But from the time I was born, she put a responsibility on me of, she just go things over me like a checklist. I don't know if that's a Taurus bull thing. Shout out to me bull gang for coming up. We up next, you know what I mean? But her birthday being April 21st and mine being April 22nd, she put a tremendous amount of responsibility on me from the time she realized, oh, he got snapped to him. He got some thinking and understanding. He understand I tell him this, he understand it. So when you was 5 months old in the Grand Prairie, mom left me to watch you. And I was 5 months, I was 5 years and some change. And she gave me a code back then, we didn't have cell phones. She would be like, I'm gonna call the phone, and if it hang up one time and then I call right back, that's me. If someone else calls and it rings multiple times, that ain't me calling. So if you hear one ring and a hang up and a ring right back, answer the phone because I'm gonna do it like that in succession till you answer the phone. So I'm like, oh, okay, I got that, and wanting to impress her, wanting to show her I could pick this up, that I could do these things. I did them, and like looking back at it, I look at my son now. He's 5. I'm like, ain't no way I'd have left him with, you know what I mean? My 5-month-old, but she did it, and it worked. She used to tell me like, don't open the door. I don't care if Jesus knock on the door. You better not open that door. I'm the only person that's so coming. So having fear of Jesus or God or whatever of this woman, I dare not. So it's another story coming up when I was 9 when I did open the door for somebody, and she made me believe her. She made me realize that fat meat is greasy.
Yes, sir. I was just about to say that because Mama was Taurus, so she didn't play. So you know what I'm saying. So that was heavy. And I also want to glean from this though, like, so you're looking out for me. How was I at that time? What type of kid was I? I've never asked you these questions. Like, we've never talked about this. So how was I? Because you give me insight every time I talk to you. You give me insight. I remember not too long ago, you was like, man, you always been stingy with your money. You know what I'm saying? So those are traits as a kid I knew, but you saw it firsthand. Tell me something like about me.
Bro, me and you always had a love-hate relationship, and I determined the love and the hate. I was the one who drew the guidelines up and everything, being your older brother. And it wasn't really it was a friendly hate. You know what I mean? It was stuff like,
you used to beat me up all the time.
The things that I didn't allow to get away with, you did. Like, mom was more, more loose on you than she was me. She was like, I guess she felt like, okay, on this one I gotta make sure because he gonna be like the man in the house at some point. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I gotta get him right. But with you, it was like, Mr. Can't do no wrong. So I was like, okay, I got the wrong for you. I'm gonna go upside your head. Don't worry about it. Whatever you do, and I get in trouble for it, we're gonna talk about it later in the office, brother. You already
Yeah,
know.
I remember them office moments. I got some of them etched in my memory to this day. I still remember you threw me in the deep end of the pool, but you taught me how to swim. So
hey, that's how I learned. Hey, it was good for the goose, good for the gander, baby. It worked. I was there for you. I wasn't gonna let you drown. Hell, I got in trouble for you almost drowning in the pool. I looked away for a little too long, shit, and got my ass beat, boy. God damn. See, that's what the love hate. When I say the love hate, cause see, when I used to get my ass whooped really bad for you, oh boy, I used to hate you. Ooh, because she wasn't gonna come. She'd give you a little something. I get all of it.
you got the beat down. I appreciate you. You was like the
The
real
time,
nigga
okay, like
Benji.
this is a little side. This is a side, but let me just tell you something about Ben. Let me tell you the thing you used to do. Okay, one day, me, my cousin, and then we was real tight. We went and we wasn't supposed to go nowhere, and we snuck off anyway. So we went down the street to the park, and we was playing. And Uncle Tone came, got us, brought us down, brought out the switch, and man was whooping all ass in succession. But somebody had to go take a shit. Little slick Benji over here. He went on to use the bathroom, and shit, by the time the ass whoopers was just out doing, he was tired of giving the ass whoopers. So Benji missed out on the whole ass whooping.
I remember that day. That was
Well, you
down at
missed out on.
the house.
Yeah, you missed out on that ass whooping, but I didn't
Yeah,
forget.
they kept knocking on the door. They kept knocking on the door. When you coming up out of there? I'm on the toilet. Yeah, you weren't finna give me no ass whooping. Nah, we.
See, that's what I was there for. See, I was there to say, hey, yeah, you think you got out of that one, but I didn't forget. I got you. So I just beat up on you.
So I was always evading stuff. So I was a quick thinker. See, I got that from both of y'all. So my
The
quick
man was
thinking.
fast. Look, say the man was fast on his feet. The boy was fast on his feet. Let me tell you, he was.
So
I got
that was dope.
I got a quick question though. So, Cecil, do you think that your mom putting that much on you, as a young fella, was too heavy at the time? Now that you look back at it, you know what I'm saying, in your development, because as a child, like you said, you have a child, so you know what your child needs and you know what your child can handle and can bear. So do you think that was a little too much at the time for you? You know what I'm saying? And maybe it affected you negatively, or you think it was a positive because she was preparing you for something you didn't even know was coming?
Well, this is the thing about life, man. There is no absolute. So, and there's always the yin and the yang. So on one end, on one accord, yeah, I thought that it did me a disservice. I didn't have a childhood per se. I was like, the moment I got to a point where another story, she showed me how to wash dishes. So wanting to impress her, I paid attention and learned how to wash dishes. Guess what? When I showed her I know how to wash dishes, it became my job. So I learned that. Hold up, I need to start pausing. I need to start quit trying to be so gung ho about it. I know everything she's teaching me. So but back to that, yeah, it deprived me of a childhood. And as an adult, I feel the effects of that greatly sometimes. Because it makes my personality be more empty because I didn't have the laughter as everyone else had. It was almost like I had to be on go, be on show, because man, we came from a rough upbringing, bro.
Okay,
Like,
it
we
was
came
tough.
from a real hard life. I've seen a lot of things. I've seen death at an early age. Like on my brother's birthday when I was 8 years old, I saw my first death. It was my best friend's mom, and my mom had to school me on this and talk to me. I had to be on. I could be a kid. You know what I mean? I had to be a kid. Understanding that hey man, shit get real, and it'll
Right.
get real, real, real quick. You know what I mean? So on one end, yeah, that hurt me, but on the other end, her filling me with all that information at an early age, her instilling, knowledge, wisdom, and telling me about things about drugs and stuff at an early age, making it not attractive to me, helped me,
Right.
because that made me not want to do that. That made me not want to go and drink with everybody there, because Mom already told me by my 13th birthday, she was like, "Hey, you can drink, you can smoke, you can do whatever." I don't want to do that because you saying I can do that. You know what I mean? You desensitized it to me, and
Right.
that or lessons that did help me, and all the overbearing she put on me when she was gone. Not having no mom, no dad, and the tragic way I lost them, and my brother, and all my bros, and my family, and the separation. The strength part of it is what got me still here right now. To still have me with this mental fortitude. You know what I
Right.
mean? To be able to live inside of my mental hell, but not let my hell burn me to the point that I can't, coexist or keep going. You know what I mean? So it's
Right.
like it's a yin and a yang, it's a gift and a curse. You know what I
It
mean? It
is,
really was.
but I think ultimately, even though all of that, like
Excuse me.
as we get more and more into our adult phase, we're becoming more and more savvy. We're becoming more and more aware. We're actually elevating as we get older, and I think that that's one of the dopest things that I've learned, even about myself. So let's kind of dive into this part and this aspect a little bit. So the day is upon us. Now, what I remember from that day is I took off early to go to school and I left. And from what I understand, and we've kind of talked about this, on that exact day, you told me that she came out the house and was like, "Benji, where are you?" Because I had already left. Let's kind of focus on that moment right there for a minute, and let's talk about that. So I remember we talked about that, but kind of lead us into that day, that actual day in that moment. Because I remember we both got picked up by the police, but we'll travel into that story.
Well, you're talking about May 20th,
Yeah,
1988. That's the day you're talking about. And that day is just imprinted in my brain. Like I can see it like a movie. I can describe it
right,
play for play. Um, it's crazy because leading up until that day, it's a backstory, and I gotta kind of tell this because it's kind
right,
of like leads it up. Um, I wanted. It was my birthday. My birthday had just passed. I wanted a Nintendo. The Nintendo was the new thing, but the other thing was the Sega. They had a
right,
Sega. It wasn't the Sega Genesis. It was Sega, right?
right.
And our stepfather Sam, our youngest brother's dad, took me to Toys R Us and was like, "Which what you want?" And I'm like, "Yo, man, I want this Nintendo. This is the hottest thing. This is gonna be popping." You know what I mean? He's like, "Okay." And then we had a driver named Dave, big
Yeah,
old dude, 6'4" dude. With a mental level on my level. You know what I mean? So I used to play games with the dude, and so he's like, "Hey, man, I got," because he had a Sega, mind you, he had a Sega. He like, "I got all these games. You should get a Sega because when you buy a Sega, they give you like 4 games versus Nintendo give you 1 game." I like, why they give you 4 games? Because this is shit. This is garbage. Don't nobody got this. Don't nobody want this. You know what I'm
right.
saying? So he talked, talking to sound good, and him and Sam and Dave. That's what it was. Sam and Dave. They
Yeah,
both
yeah. I remember
big
Dave. He
body,
used to drive him around.
two big, for lack of better words, not the, I guess the higher the altitude got for him, the thinner the brain cells was, but whatever that is. I'm like, "Yo, I want this Nintendo." They're like, "Nah." So he bought me the Sega. So boom, playing the Sega, I'm bored. My partner got the Nintendo. They got the Mike Tyson Punch Out come out and Tecmo Bowl. That's the end of the story. Once I say that right there, you already know that's the end of the story. And I'm over here with the Sega. So guess how many people want to play Sega? I don't even want to play it no more. So I'm over here and I meet somebody finally at my school that has Sega games. So I'm like, "Oh, you got games I don't got." So I'm like, "Hey, I'll give you my games, you give me your games, and we'll swap it out." He's like, "Cool, we'll meet Friday. Bring them Friday, we'll do it."
Right.
Bam. So I'm like, "Cool." I finally get to play some games since I got this bunk ass game that Dave talked Sam to getting into. So come Thursday, I found out that Sam, mom had died in Louisiana, and he was planning a trip to go out there. And mom and him wasn't always on best of terms or whatever. So the talk was, gonna go to Louisiana with Sam so you can learn some game, you can be some culture. Because I don't know if I should disclose this, but Sam was, real big drug dealer at the
Yeah,
time. Real
he was big time.
drug dealer with like an 8th grade education, 6th grade. I'm being generous about 6th grade education. But so that was the talk. They wanted me to go. So in the back of my mind, I'm like, man, I don't want to go. I want to go to school so I get these games so I can play something different. Because I already played this bull jive. These people, this dude talking, man, I don't want to play this no more. So Thursday night, we all go to sleep. I stay up a little late. I kind of oversleep. And I'm awakened by Andre. He's 3.5. It's something he ain't never did before. He ain't never woke me up out my sleep. He ain't never, I don't overslept before and been late for school and still went to school. He never did. But this particular day, he woke me up and said, wake up, Cecil, you're going to be late for school. He didn't say it like that. He said in the baby talk. But I remember I looked over, I'm like, look, nigga, what? And I looked at the clock and it was like 7 something. So I'm like, oh, it's Friday. Oh, I got to get the game.
Right.
Went in your room, you was already gone.
Yeah, I had left because we were supposed to play football out at W.A. Blair outside. And the homies had already told me, yo, come early so we can get some football game in. I knew mama wasn't going to let me leave early. So I got up and I literally just got dressed, boom, and I dashed. Like I remember cutting behind that house and that field in the back and that long path.
Alley field,
yeah. And I got up super early and I took off and I left because I wanted to go play football outside with the fellas, like 6 something in the morning, 6:30 in the morning. So I got up and I dipped. So like that, that was my thing. So I remember that part.
See, that explains something because I never knew that's where you was gone. Because all I was thinking like, why he didn't wake me up? You know what I'm saying? Why he leave like that? So I didn't know you left that early. So then that ties a link that I never had. So okay.
I snuck out. You remember that side gate, that side that had the bar missing, the side door? I snuck out there and took off and left because I knew mama wasn't going. Her room was, their room was upstairs.
So that's so crazy.
And I snuck out and I dipped because I was like, man, let me get up out of here. Just going to go play football that morning. So
put some ice in there and for me and shot. Damn, that's crazy. I didn't know you snuck out that door too. That shit ties into the story then. Oh wow. Right. Those are two things that I never really pieced together. Okay, so boom. So when I realized you was gone, I get up, I jump, and I get up fresh real quick. And I'm running down the stairs because I'm trying to get up out of there. I'm late. I'm trying to only reason, man, listen, it's a Friday. If any other time I would not want to go. But this Friday, I need to get a game, bro.
Right.
Like, I don't, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if she told you, but mom, this is what she told me when I got to the bottom. I'm going down these stairs. I'm running down the stairs. As soon as I get to the bottom, it's like, you know how our shit was. Like, the laundry room, as soon as you right there.
Yeah, as soon as you go, there's that laundry room right there. And then,
her bathroom, and then the hallway. So, boom, I meet her. She look at me eye to eye. And she like, good morning, babe. What you doing? I'm like, I'm about to go to school. She's like, wait, what you talking about? I told you can go with Sam to Louisiana. You don't want to take off 3-day weekend. You don't even have to go to school today. And I'm like, nah, mom, I want to go to school. She's like, why? I just want to go. I didn't tell her I wanted to get a game. Right. I mean, I used to lie to her a lot. She used to call me a liar, but that's neither here nor there. That's neither here nor there. So when she asked me why, I just want to go to school. You know what I mean? I ain't telling her the game. So this is something else that was uncommon. She never really was right there, and I can still see it's like coming down the stairs. I still see her face as I walk right there, and then like she followed me. She stopped doing laundry and followed me. Now, mind you, I'm like 13, I'm 13, 14 years old in that age range. My mom was overbearing hard. She don't walk me to the door. She don't, see me out. Most of the times I got up for school, she'd be asleep, passed out, or somewhere else, or maybe gone.
Right.
You know what I mean? Maybe at work or something. You know what I mean? Whatever it was. But, she never walked me out. So as I go to the stairs, she's pleading with me to stay, and I don't want to stay. So when I say that, she started walking me out to the door. And I'm thinking to myself, like, what's she doing? Like, this is weird. You know what I'm saying? So as I get to the side door that you went through with the bars where the stairs was missing, she stopped me. And I turn around and I look at her in the eyes, and she tell me how much she loved me. And did she ever, do I know that? And I'm like, yeah, Mom, I know that. Like, me, like, why you telling me this? You know what I mean? Right. In my mind, I don't say these things, but these are things that I'm thinking,
yeah.
As I'm trying to fade out the door. I'm like, you trying to hook me? Why you trying to keep me here? You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to go. I don't want the 3-day weekend with Sam. I don't want to go to I want to go to school just so I can get some games. Now that sounds like the craziest shit ever, because I don't know no kid who wants to go to school when they're offered stay home. Like, she's sitting there begging me, like pleading with me down there. So as I leave out, it's like a movie. I'm floating and I look and I turn and look at her one last time and I look at her face and I tell her I love her and I close the door and I walk out the door and like I walk to school and shit. Unbeknownst to me, I don't know what the fuck going on. Like, past the dudes as they passing me. You know what I'm saying? Like, basically.
Right.
And get all the way to school, go through the school. The dude didn't bring the fucking games. So I went for nothing. You know what I'm saying? He didn't even bring them. I got mine. He don't even got it. Oh, I forgot. Like, what, nigga? I could have been home. And then get called out of school, counselor. Run the whole play. And then that's, you know, when the whole world changed after that.
So, and at that moment, now that you know that, it's kind of ironic because I didn't know your part of the story. I didn't know that. So it was kind of like, and to be honest, it's one of the reasons why I actually love football a lot, because I believe ultimately me taking off that morning, of course, we know it was God breathed. We understand all of that. That's got to give God his props for
that. You weren't really that good at football.
I wouldn't. But I loved, you know, you knew me. I was active. You get what I'm saying? Like, I was a mover. You get what I'm saying? So I wanted to go because, you know what I'm saying, that's what I wanted to get out the house. I can't remember, you know, anything other than that. So that was like that. But so we're in this moment now. The next moment I remember from that is you were in the police car first. And then they came and picked me up. Is that accurate? Do you remember that part? Because they came and picked me up from the school. And I thought we were in trouble because I saw you in the back and I'm like, yo, like, what's going on? And I remember asking you, like, yo, like, what we do? You get what I'm saying? So talk to us a little bit at that moment, because now by this time, everything done jumped off. They done kicked in the door. They done killed one person. They done took mama. They done took Sam, done took off running. All of it has took place. And so now we are in this moment where all of this now begins to start for us and opens our eyes.
I remember them coming to get me and the counselor, they took me down to the office. And in this moment, this is the importance of it, you know, with your children, you know, be careful not to put too much on them and be too hard on them. And I say that because when they came and got me and they told me, they didn't tell me exactly, you know, I'm a kid, I'm in junior high, but they don't know that I'm well beyond my age because my mom don't expose me to all kinds of shit, right? So when they telling me while they trying to sugarcoat it, they saying some stuff happened at the house with your mom and your stepdad. The instant thing in my mind was, they ain't no big deal. My mom don't shot my stepdad. You know what I'm saying? Because she had stabbed him before. So
yeah, she stabbed him. All of that. We done seen all of that. The fights, everything.
She had shot at some people before. I don't seen her. You know what I mean? So in my mind, I'm thinking, it's the next elevation nigga. She don't tired of this nigga shit. You know what I mean? He putting his hands on her. I don't see him put his hands on her. I don't been in all those kind of scenarios. I remember them. I got a photogenic memory, so I remember all that shit. So when they told me, I was like, no big deal. I never took it serious, right? I was like, oh, well, you know, mom shot him. You know what I mean? Okay, we got to deal with that. What's the consequences of that? I never really put it together until I got to, got you, and they took us to grandma's house, and I saw everybody crying, and I was like, well, everybody else here, what mom at?
Right. And I remember that moment because when they took us down there, we driving down there and we get there and everybody's out in the front.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there and I'm like, what's going on? And I remember vividly in that moment, what flashed before my eyes was the same thing as you. Like, where's mama? Like, that's what was in my head. Where's Andre? And the first thing that came to my mind with that is how Andre used to cuss. because he didn't say F you. He used to say but you. Like he's
Right.
you get what I'm saying? So he had his way of saying things, and so it was hilarious. And then I started thinking, I was like, yo,
And
like,
that was my fault. I used to encourage him so too.
but he used to say it well too, boy. He used to say it, but that's what came to my mind because we didn't see. Now again, I'm thinking we in trouble, and so we don't see Mama, then we don't see Andre, but we see everybody out there. Is that the same thing that went through your mind? Like kind of go through that and talk to us about that a little bit.
Yeah, that's part of what was going through my mind. I remember seeing Uncle Daryl and them talking secretly out the window, in the back window. Man, honestly, I hate to say this, but I was in a mental part that I just wasn't really. I didn't feel it. I was desensitized. I didn't feel it. Like my mom was so hard on me to where I used to pray for a break from my mom. You know what I mean? So I actually thought that was just a break. I didn't realize it was real. Like she never ever coming back again. It didn't hit me honestly until like August. Like
it didn't hit me until the funeral.
Well, it hit me at the funeral because I saw Andre, but it didn't hit me with Mom. Because I just like there was no way this tough ass woman like this happened to her, not her. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, they playing. Like it's a prank. You know what I mean? Like, and it took a minute before I feel that like actually some kind of survivor's remorse type situation. That's how I dealt with it. You know what I mean? And for years I did. So yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, basically back to what you're saying, like that's what made me done that something was off, but I didn't put together the grief and the missing.
I think we were too young at the time to process it for sure and to understand it all.
No, bro. I mean, for you it is. For me, it was just like, you know, I was an abused child. You know what I mean? I was a loved and abused child. That's how they did it back then. That's how they reared the kids. They beat them, and a lot of times the mothers, the black women, were so upset at their black men for hurting them and leaving them and disappointing that they took it out on their black sons. You know what I mean? And my mom was guilty of that. You know what I mean? And that's what she did. She did to me. And I'm not saying I wasn't a bad kid, but I was bad because shit, you know.
What was going on?
You put me to a certain point. It's like there were certain times when she would, you know, I wouldn't be wrong and I would get in trouble. So when I don't be wrong and I get in trouble, so you goddamn well you gonna believe I'm gonna get my lick back. So I'm gonna be wrong next time. So I'm gonna get it anyway. So, you know, I was conditioned with that type of, you know, thing. So like that went into not missing her right away. So my mental on her not being there was like, oh, maybe she's somewhere else.
And see, for me at that time, like I said, I was so young to process it. Like I didn't understand any of it. All I knew is people were gone. Like it was like they were just gone. And Andre was when that situation happened. Well, let me backtrack a little bit because we want to give a piece of the info. We don't want to mention no names, folks out there, but what we want to do is kind of backtrack a little bit. So on this day when it happened, from what I understand is that there was a debt that was owed, and this is what kind of caused all of the rift, everything. It wasn't like Mama did something haphazardly or did something wild. You get what I'm saying? Something transpired, something happened, and this dude wanted his money. And so now we got drama.
Yeah, that's what happened. I know exactly what happened because she told me what happened.
Right. I know too. We don't want to put certain folk on blame.
No, we don't name no names, but she like, you know, in a desperation of a mother, you know, realizing the walls are closing in around her, she confided in her oldest son, the son that, you know, a lot of times it was just me and her, you know, until you came along. So, you know, when I got older, she would tell me so much, even like when she first smoked weed and all that stuff. So like, sitting in that situation with her, like when the debt, like, okay, this is the funny part. The debt part, it ain't funny. It ain't funny at all. The debt, I'm the one who went and got the note.
Right.
I'm the one they sent to go get the note. I'm the one who saw the people sitting outside the house. I'm the one who knew, like, of course they knew, but I'm saying as far as with us, like
Within us,
anybody
yeah.
else, as a child, I'm 12, 13. Like, this was like a whole, from the part of me turning 12 to 13, and it was just like a month after me turning 13 before they were taken from us. So, like,
right. Now, I remember some of those moments because those dudes would sit outside the house and leave notes in the mailbox, right?
Yeah, and they would send me to go get them. And what happened was, Mom was planning to leave. She talked to me. She asked me if she thought that we should go back to California, if we, change. And I was like, yo, I hated Cali at first, but I kind of like it. I kind of miss it now because our lifestyles was so different. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I was for it, and she was like, okay. So she took my little 2 cents into consideration or whatever that was. But she had took a whole bunch of money from Sam, and she had stashed the money. You know what I mean?
Right.
She showed me the bank accounts, and she took me and she would tell me all these different stuff. And she had the money stashed and hid, and somebody hit a lick on her. And so the cause and effect of how that works is, like, she took the money, was about to leave this man and take her kids from the man. This is this man's drug money that he got on the front on the loan, right? So he owed that. So if she could have got away with it, it's fine. But then she ended up losing the money because someone else
from our
No, okay, let me take it back. No one stole the money. Someone found the money.
Assumed it was theirs. Found this large lump sum of money.
Yeah, our mom been having a big heart, a close, dear family member to her. So when she loved so much, was pregnant at the time, and was going through it, couldn't make any money. So she said, here's this money, a lot of money, hide it, keep it safe, pinch off of it, use it for whatever you need for your maternity leave time. And, I'm going to make it happen. Just keep it safe. And our cousin found the money and gave it to his stepfather. And his stepfather took the money and went like, hey, I found some money. I'm rich now, and spent the money, not minding that there's a cause and effect to this.
Right.
Mom took the money from someone else, was going to put us in a better place. She let, a person she loved hold it, and that money was stolen from that person. So now it's like, where our money at? We don't give a fuck. So now she's still with this guy because she can't leave now because the money got fucked off. Her little plan to get up out of there got fucked off. So she in the trenches, right? And shit rolls downhill. And so, like, she was so mad at this person for letting the money get taken. I remember she wanted to beat this person, but this is someone she loved dearly.
Right.
I ain't gonna get into the specifics.
We're gonna put that name out there,
but we know that is. But you can imagine I love my brother dearly. So let's just say a sibling or something of that nature. You know what I mean? And so she couldn't hurt this person, but this person now don't jeopardize me and my family. You know what I mean? Like, so in the consequences of that, time kept ticking, and these people want their money. You know what I mean?
Right.
And she couldn't leave, and stuck in it with this dude who she got a kid by, and these people kept coming by and leaving notes, and Sam's sitting on the stairs like a defeated man. And I'm looking at this dude like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? I'm not fully understanding what's going on. And Mom's showing me early in the morning that she got to go to work, how to load a gun and shit like this. And if something happened, if I see somebody, I'm like, what the fuck is all this? What's going on? And it comes all back to, they was coming by every day, putting notes on the mailbox, saying, and I would read them. It ain't like I would just take them and just give them to them. I would read what the fuck it said and be like, being a man now, I could understand what was saying then, but I didn't understand the severity of it. But being a man now, I look at it like, God damn, that's cold. Like, how they just leave us in there for that to happen? I basically left everybody for that to happen. You know,
Right.
it was just by circumstances of choice that we wasn't there.
Right.
Basically.
And we were fortunate because we were supposed to stay home that day.
Right.
Both
We
of
both
us
skipped out. Like both like, nah, we going to school.
and didn't know what was going on. You get, I clearly didn't know. I do remember them dudes sitting outside the house, and I was just like, yo, like, what's going on? Again, I'm in the background for the most part. So then now all of this has taken place. We picked up, we're down to grandma's house. That was the first day. What was the second day like for you? What was it? I know you felt like detached. It was cool, you know, whatever. Because next day is another day. I don't even remember the next day. Like, what was the next day like for you, if you can remember anything at all?
Nah, I remember everything. I got a photogenic memory about it all. It's crazy because to me it was like a happy birthday. I don't know if you remember, or I don't know how it used to play to you, but when we used to go to our aunt's house,
Yeah.
you know, who had our cousins,
Yeah. It was fun time.
The reins was a little loosened, you know.
Right. We could do whatever we want to do.
I would say the difference between my aunt and my mom, who my aunt was my favorite aunt, I love, she's still my favorite aunt, I love her to death. The difference between the two, and no disrespect, auntie, but one had bite and one had bark. You know what I mean? My aunt was woof woof and and talk loud and scary and say a lot of words, but yeah, she wasn't gonna do too much harm. But
Mama would put the hands on. She would bust it.
Hey, listen,
we used to call her Wile E. Coyote for a reason. She would bust on you. On the freeway, she was busting on one of my stepdaddy. So I remember all of that. She didn't play no game.
She's the only person I know who will keep a list of things you do to whoop your ass later for it. She would tell me sometimes, I'm gonna whoop your ass for old and new.
Right.
Like, I didn't do nothing this time. Like, well, you did something last time. Whoop your ass for old and new. You know, she had a list of shit that I had already did. Sometimes she wouldn't whoop me. She just mark it on the list. You know, so she was off the grip. Like, her bite was intense. Her bark matched the bite. Like, it was, both was equal. You didn't want neither one of them, because if she barked at you, you know she was gonna bite right after. And if she bite, it's gonna hurt. Either way, it was fucked up. So immediately after that, we moved. We wasn't my grandma. We moved with Linda Girl. We moved to Garland. You know what I mean? We stayed with them, and so it was a happy birthday. Shit, I could do whatever the fuck I wanted to do.
Right.
I was running around. I got my first look. Everything. And this is immediately after that. I'm talking about immediately off that, right? So look, but on a more darker level, I still had to go to school, and so right after going to school, I still had a key to the house. It just so happened around the time it was time for school to be out, you know, and then we would have 2 weeks where we take exams, and they would have early release. You know, I was a lot of y'all. I was EB Comstock. You know, that's where I went to middle school.
W.A. Blair down there.
W.A. Blair is elementary. That's elementary.
That's elementary. Yeah.
This is Comstock. You didn't go to Comstock. I'm just
I'm
a true grove representative. NIG 75 Murdoch. Yeah, I already know what it is. So yeah, I would go to Comstock. Right after that, we was in the period of, you know, doing early release because we was testing out. And I didn't tell my uncle, I didn't tell Tom that I got out of school early. So when I got out of school, like 12 o'clock, and he wouldn't come to get me to 3 something, I would leave and walk to go to the house, and I would sit and play my Sega in the house.
Oh wow!
It was no longer our house. I mean, it's still a house. All the furniture was there, but the whole world, our whole life had changed. You know what I mean? Dave Blood was still on the floor. You know what I mean? Where he got killed, and I was for 2 whole weeks. I did this by myself. I was sitting in Sega, and I would look around, and I would just, in my mind, I was taking the last little fragments of what my life was.
Right.
You know what I mean? I was trying to like bring it back, or maybe something there with, I don't know what I was doing, but it was kind of eerie at the same time. I was just like, you know, dealing with the darkness, the you know, I didn't know if it was ghosts. I didn't know nothing. I was in the house where a married person got killed. My mom and my brother got kidnapped and later murdered. And this is the house. You know,
now I remember when we officially moved back into that place. That they covered where old boy was shot at in the head on the floor, They just poured oil over that blood. So when we walked back in that house, I remember that stain right in the middle of the floor every time we walked through the front door, because they off them right in the middle, right in the floor right there in that living room.
Bro, that was some of the most traumatizing years of my life.
I still remember all of those pieces, bro. I still remember all of that. Like, it's funny how the tragedy sticks.
When our aunt moved us back into our mom's house, I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, how am I living in this house with my whole life? Well, I should have basically stayed and died in, basically. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure if I'd have been there, they'd have killed me. You know what I mean? Just to make an example, you know, her son.
Right.
Especially since I knew the dude. Like, I knew the dude.
Yeah. I mean, we used to sit and talk. He used to look at us face to face. We used to sit down and he used to talk to us. Like, I remember sitting in the living room, in that dining room area, and he would pull up and he would sit down and he would talk and act like he knew us, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember those moments.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy living back in that house.
And I remember that
there's trauma that goes with that I still deal with because of that. You know what I mean? It desensitized me in a lot of areas of my life where people who are in my life, you know, get that negative part of me because of that.
Right. And those moments, man, now what's crazy is like I said, I remember those moments because we did move back and I couldn't question nobody at the time, but I wondered like why we moved back. You get what I'm saying? Like trying to process it and figure it all out at the time and couldn't at that time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, what is that stain on the floor? Like, why is that there every day? And every day we would leave, I would go out that door, that stain was right there. And I didn't know what it was until I got older and figured like, oh, okay. So-and-so was killed right there, right in the house he was made an example. If you don't give me my money, this is what's going to take place. You get what I'm saying? And so off the dude, you get what I'm saying? Right in that, in the living room. You know what I'm saying?
Man, so, he walked in and didn't even pay attention that the bars were cut, that the door was kicked in, and he just
right. He was a little special, as you said. He wasn't all there. You get what I'm saying?
He stumbled right into his own death. That's crazy, though.
Right. So now we have those moments. There's a lot. We won't be able to toss it all in this segment, but we'll dive into it again at a later time. So let's kind of fast forward a little bit. All of this has transpired. We're at the funeral. Like, what do you remember at that moment? Because now that's when it got super real for me. Because I had saw Andre's casket. And all I remember at the time is M saying, we don't know. They could still be alive. You get what I'm saying? I remember him actually saying that. Fast forward to those moments. Talk to us that setting, because that's when it hit me hard. Because now I'm seeing both of the caskets, and I'm like, I was tore up. I was messed up.
It didn't register for me yet. I was still in denial. I didn't accept it. I didn't. You know what I mean? I can't. Out of all the things I remember, I don't remember that part because I blocked it out of my memory. You know what I mean? I rejected it. I didn't. At this point, I'm feeling guilty because I'm like, I didn't take this serious enough with my emotions. I didn't cry right away. You know what I mean? I didn't, because of, you know, I mean, I had my issues with mom. There was some times I was like, damn, why couldn't I got another mom? You know what I'm saying? Like, and I felt guilty.
I used to say that about you in my head. Because listen, bro, you threw me in the deep end of the pool. You used to beat me up all the time. But you taught me how to swim. So, you know what I'm saying? That was straight. You taught me a lot of stuff. But I used to say that about you because you used to traumatize and beat me up all the time.
Hey, man, listen. When you at 5 years old and you've been forced to have a babysitting job at an early age, and you the dude, you the reason why you don't came and ruined this small way. Listen, Life was great before you came. I don't know if anybody told you, if you understood this, but life was really great before you came, baby. I had it at home. It was all good. You know what I'm saying? Then
Now I gotta watch out for him.
I see this little person. He come out the womb with curly hair. Mind you, I got pictures of me. I ain't have her when I came out till I was like 2 years old. I was bald. They didn't know if I would ever have her. And this dude got curly hair, and I got to babysit this dude. I'm like, man. So it went through a transgression of, okay, I see how it go. He do something wrong, I get in trouble. I do something wrong, I get in trouble. Well, we got to work this dynamics. This is how we gonna do it. You know, shit, I get in trouble. Me and you gonna have a secret meeting later on. I'm gonna bust your ass. That's all it is. So, you know, I developed that with you. And then it was fun. That was the fun part because, you know, you was my little punching bag. You was my little gopher. I tell you to go do this, you better go do it. And if you didn't do it, you knew what it was. You know what I
mean? I knew what was up. I knew what was up. I used to catch them blows. That made me tough. I didn't take nobody else's mess though.
That's how I looked at it. So then I had to transgress. You know, I had a period because when we lost mom. Now I gotta be your big. I gotta look out for you. Now I gotta make you tough. Now I gotta try to, in a kid's mind, in a young teenager's mind, you know, reciprocate what she's doing for me to you. Right. I don't even know how to do that. You know what I mean? But I'm trying. So now I'm trying to shelter you. I don't let you go nowhere. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to lose you. Because I had already made an understanding with myself that the only reason I'm gonna keep going and not just lose it and go John Wayne Gacy or just don't give a fuck mode. You know, nigga in the hood, who cares? Because we came from that environment. We from Buntown. You know what I mean? Right. It's easy to flip that switch. I made a pact with myself that as long as nothing happened to my baby brother, I was going to keep going through this shit. But if anything ever happened to you, fuck, I was going to go crazy. I didn't care. Right. Because I had lost my world. Right. It was the only thing left. I couldn't, like, if I would have just said fuck it and left you by yourself out here and went crazy, that would have been wrong for you because I'm the one who's supposed to lead your direction. Right. You know what I mean? That's how our mom
she did for you. Right.
That's how she did it. That's the succession. That's the order. You know what I mean? Right. She was a drill sergeant, so she had already put that in me. So with her being gone, her absence, I became your dad. You know what I mean? Right. I became your parent. So, you know, you looked at it like, damn, he don't let me do nothing. He overbearing. I was just trying to keep you safe, man. I was just trying to keep you. And in a lot of ways, I sheltered you from stuff like the shit that I would go do or let Short do, who was Philip, who was just 1 year older than you, barely. Right. You know what I mean? Like, you should have been able to do too. But I wouldn't let you go do it because I didn't want nothing to happen to you. Because I knew that you was my only fabric of sanity. You were the only thing that was keeping me still in this motherfucker because I really didn't give no fuck. From 15, 16, I was robbing people, pulling guns, stealing cars. Like, I went quickly from the structure and the shelter that our mom had us to the streets. Right. It was like overnight. It was like, oh, okay. She already put me up on game. At first, I was like, I didn't know because I was like, damn, what is this? You know what I mean? Like, this ain't what I'm used to. But the moment I started realizing, yo, these my homies and, oh, this the shit we do. And, oh, okay, I can do this shit. And I got more of a I don't give a fuck because they go home to mama. Or they go home to dad. Right. I don't go home. I go home to my aunt. She love me, but she can't tell me what the fuck to do. You know what I mean? I can leave this bitch right now. And what? Who gonna say what? Nobody. Right. Nobody gonna make me do shit. You know what I mean? Right. Nobody can make me do shit. That was from 16 on.
And I remember I remember a lot of those moments because, like I said, and because of that, I would stay, you know, in my place for the most part. Sometimes I'd get out of it because I could sneak around and I could get out. I knew how to work out. I used to watch how y'all used to move, so I used to emulate y'all in a lot of ways. But then we moved with family, we moved with them. That was a whole nother experience. We'll save that part. I want to get to this part real quick and get to the part to where now 19, all of it, we down at Granddaddy's house and Betty and them is coming. They want me to leave. And I didn't want to go. I don't know if you remember, but I was like, I don't want to go. And you was like,
I orchestrated that. I did that.
Yeah, you was like, nah, you going. So this is 97. This is March 12th, 1997. And it's like, I didn't want to leave. We was down there at granddaddy's house. I remember like maybe a few days before that, man, we had a conversation. We was smoking the blunt. We was in the Bulac down there in granddaddy's house. And I was like, man, I don't even want to be here no more. Like this is crazy, man. Like it was wild. But when that opportunity came, you was like, nah, you going. Talk to me about that moment, because like that one was huge for me, because that ultimately saved my life. And you know that we'll dive into that another time. But talk to us about that moment right there. Like, I'm getting ready to leave, but you telling me, nah, you getting on the plane.
Well, I mean, that moment was brought up by basically, just trying to make sure you're safe, bro. You know what I mean?
Right.
Look at it. I felt like it was me and you against the world, and I look back on that moment. Oh man, it hurts me so much, because I wonder if I should have kept you with me and like not sheltered you so much, kind of like put you up on game. The reason why that moment even happened was because you had got your little settlement money, insurance
Right.
money from my mom passing. And as soon as you did that, the vultures came in the form of our family members. Everybody wanted
every last one of them.
Everybody wanted a peck. And me, I didn't want to be like, okay, so for so long, and this is the mistake I made. For so long, I was the overbearing brother. I was, you can't do this. I'm gonna punch you up if you do that. You better not do that. Let me catch you doing any of that. I was so much that brother to stay in line, to the point when you got 18, I was like, okay, let me let him do it on his own. Which I probably should have stepped being that brother, because you wasn't ready. But I just didn't want to be like, I'm gonna take something from him, or I'm just trying to get up on him so I can have. So I didn't want to do that. I wanted you to be like, I know that little money didn't mean shit, but it was what you got
The
from my
spirit
mom.
behind it, yeah.
And I had already had mine. I had already went through that 4 years ago. You know what I mean? So, and I know what I did, and I know how I enjoyed it. How I spent it. So I was like, go ahead. But the problem was, you were greener, way greener. And people could play up on you much more than they could me. They know I wasn't going. Hey, man, fuck out of here. You know what I mean? So when I let you go do what you wanted to do, like I said, the vultures came. Everybody came out, and they was all on you. And you just want to make people happy. You just want to. You're a good kid, man. You just 13. All this shit's confusing to you. You don't know what. You ain't got a mom. You ain't got no dad. Your brother tripping on you all the time. I'm supposed to be the one who love you, and I act like I don't. You know what I mean? I understand. You had a lot of shit going on, and so our family members, kind of acted like they was gonna act tough with you, and I drew a line. I was like, "Fuck that." You know what I mean? Y'all got him fucked up. It's me and him against all y'all. I don't give a fuck. I go against all y'all. This is my fabric. If he gone, I'm gone. I'm gonna flip. I'm gonna lose. Somebody finna get hurt, and I don't care. I really didn't. You know what I mean? So.
And by the way, bro, you didn't do nothing wrong. You didn't do nothing wrong at all, because what that did for me is even though it took me to get out of that moment, it brought me to this place where I'm at now. And it taught me a different level of respect, because you don't get that level of respect with everybody. You don't get that level of love with everybody. Yeah. So whereas you might see it as a mistake, I don't, because if you hadn't did what you did, like, to be honest, let's just be real, I wouldn't be here. So, because you know how it went down after that when I left. So, look at it at that aspect. Death came again. You get what I'm saying?
I'm gonna look at it from a I'm gonna look at it as a mistake from a selfish aspect, because I look at it like it should have been me and you against the world. Like, even if we would have been doing crime, even if we would have been the brothers of that, the two most hardest brothers, whatever it was. You know what I mean? And I looked at it like, damn, I should have went for that instead of sheltering him. I should have brought him more closer to me. Like, shit, if I do something, you do something, and this is how we do it, and this is what we're doing. That's the part that I was like, I looked at a mistake, because I wanted, looking back at the hindsight, I was like, I should have had the love. I should have had that love for my brother, because that's the connection to my mom. You know what I mean? But I did save. I had the vision before sight before it happened. I knew saving your life was gonna cost me being in your life. I knew I had already weighed that decision before I made the decision, before I let you go, because nobody was gonna take you to California unless I co-signed it. Like it was like he's staying with me or I'm gonna send him to California. It wasn't no, oh well, we gonna take him from you. Nah, it was none of that. Like you was with me or you wasn't. And the only thing that made me decide that is because I was running around the streets of Dallas and I couldn't really be there for you. And when I saw what Aaron and them did when they pulled that little weak ass game on you and
I still
you out
remember
the
that
money,
that
I had
was
to come back.
that was a lot. That was a lot of money too. That put a big hole in my pocket.
Yeah, they called me and I got mad and I came down there and I had to go hunt niggas down and check niggas about my little brother and I'm about to go into the war with niggas about my little brother and this, that, and the other. And I was like, man, I can't do that. I'm like, he ain't built for this.
Now you remember that moment.
So much.
I remember that moment because this is what was in my mind at the time. Like I was like, I wanted to kill somebody.
Yeah, I know, because you came to me and told me. And you cried.
I was like, if I hadn't have talked to you before then, I'm telling you what my motive was. Because I felt disrespected that they took what came from mama.
Yeah.
And that's when 100 Benji came out. Like the I don't care. See, that's where that came from. And the only reason why I didn't do it is because you talked me out of it. And that was the only thing on my mind at that time.
You. Because I said, nah, he ain't ready for that. And if anybody hurt my brother, then I'm going to have to earn everybody out. So let me go get him right, put him in the corner. I'll go deal with it because I'm a street nigga. And I'll go get with these niggas and let them know how I feel. And let me just put him over here. Because if he go deal with it and it go the wrong way, then that's all bad. Really all bad. My whole thing was I just didn't want nothing to happen to you. That's all I cared about. And I just didn't think you was capable of dealing with street shit. And that's what kind of precursed sending you to California. Because I was sitting there and I was thinking, after that happened, I had the vision in my mind, like, yo, you don't send this dude to California or somewhere where he can go be with Aunt Betty and them and, you know, in a different, for lack of a better word, square environment and get out of this fucking dirty ass Dallas. You know what I mean? You're going to lose your brother and then you're going to lose your life because you ain't going to give a fuck. You know what I mean? You ain't going to even have no life.
Right.
Because you ain't, you know, only thing that was holding me, piecing me together was the words of our mom and you.
Right.
That was it. That was it. Other than that, I was like, I don't care. So then I talked to, you know, Aunt Betty and them and I, you know, set it up and I was like, yeah, get him to Cali. He ain't going to want to go, but he got to go. I'm going to make him go. And that was the hardest thing I ever had to do because I had a visual while I was awake. I had two things. It was like, he stay here, something gonna happen to him. But if you take him and if you make him leave, you ain't gonna get to see him. Like you ain't gonna be in your brother's life. Years is gonna go by. It's gonna be decades or more.
We didn't see each other for what, about 10 years after that?
About 10 years. Yeah, about 10 years. And so it was the hardest decision I ever could make in my life. But I was like, man, I'd rather have him and he'd be way somewhere else safe than not have him. Because I've already went through that and I can't go through that. I knew I couldn't go through that. So it was a sacrifice I had to make. So I made you leave. You know what I mean? I made them take you and I made you. And it was the best thing to happen for you. Not so much for me though, but you know what I mean? But you know, I'm built for this shit.
And I totally understand, man. That's the sacrificial part of it. And that's the part that even when I came out here, because you know, funk dropped off again and some more drama took place and some more killings took place right where we used to lay our heads. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of stuff that went on. Now let's kind of
immediately after, man, it wasn't even a week after I sent you to California, nigga. It went down, and you would have been in the living room. You would have been right.
I would have been right in the living room. I would have been right there.
I all that shit. The nigga shot at me, gunshots, missed me by inches, everything. Like I seen all that shit, and I still see it. And after all that happened in '97, all I was thinking was like, damn. The craziest part of my mind was like, bro, you visualize this shit. If you wouldn't have put this nigga on this plane, do you realize he'd have been in the living room dead?
Right.
And then the
And
reality of my premonition came to be like 10+ years without even having you in my life, bro. My
and that
baby brother.
was, and to me, that was all God. Like that was to me. I've always, if you follow my pattern, bro, I don't know what it is about me. I don't know why it's like this, but I always seem to escape the crazy danger. It's like anytime it gets close, I get moved. I don't care where it's at. It's happened out here, it's happened there, everywhere, wherever, and I get moved out of it. And so, like that, I noticed that about my life, but a lot of that, man, like you orchestrated a lot of that by just listening. And I think that's dope. Now, you mentioned something earlier where you said you had to, it's part of the mental hell, the mental health, dealing with your mental hell. A lot of us have that. Talk to us real quick about that moment, because you got to deal with all of this. You get what I'm saying? You got to deal with it on a level higher than I've been dealing with it, had to deal with it, all of that. But you had to deal with it. Talk to us a bit about the mental side of it and dealing with the fact that I got to deal with this, but I got to still be functioning. Like I still got to think for my brother, think for myself. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, I mean that just proves that the saying that what don't kill you can only make you stronger is in fact a very true statement. And what I mean by that is the things that I went through. They were trying on my mental health, but at the same time they built something up in me. And I don't know if maybe everyone don't have this ability. Fortunate for me, I have it. You know what I mean? I don't know if it was just my mom instilled it or I already had it in my DNA, but I have the resilient gene. I have the overcome gene. And when you speak about mental health, a lot of us talk about our mental health, but we don't understand that mental health is part of our mental health, and that's something we have to accept. There's no treatment for mental health. The things that we go through, the traumas and stuff, those replay in our head when no one else is listening, when no one else knows what we're thinking about, when we're sitting in our lonely corner. We might be driving down the street and for a moment some shit flash in our minds of anguish, of mental hell. We have to learn to accept that and to deal with that and live with. That's what I had to do. You know what I mean? It's many times I wanted to just wild out and just not give a fuck. You know what I mean? Like my motto used to be, I ain't got nothing to live for. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm on gravy time. Like this shit extra. You know what I mean? And it carried me through because I was able to accept my mental health. Right? Like everything ain't gonna always be good. We always want to think about the great thoughts. Think great thoughts. That's what part of psychology is. You don't let the negativity overcome you. Some negative thoughts into your mind. You immediately try to focus on something positive. You immediately try to think about something more refreshing. But we have to accept that the mental health part is the conditioning. It's the things that we don't want to happen. It's the things that we don't want to happen again. It's the things that we don't want to repeat. It's the things that we've already went through that broke us to our core, but we still stand and we still walk, right? So we have to understand that part of mental health is living with and dealing with the mental health that all of us
Gonna have to deal with.
My story is crazy. But
and believe it or not, man,
crazier stories than I got.
And believe it or not, I had to deal with mine too. Because when everything went down there on St. Clair, the first thing I went in my mind was like I wasn't there. Like, why wasn't I? Like, why am I different than anybody else? And then when they told me
survivor's remorse.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying? I'm sitting there like, yo, I'm the one who got out. Like, Pimp dead. Linda dead, like all them Russell the Hustle dead, like everybody them got shot up. I was in that same house, like why in the world, like what's special about me? Like why was I fortunate enough? And I literally lived with that every day. So I'm dealing with that.
That's something I want to ask you. I mean, you've been asking me questions. I want to ask you something because that's something we haven't talked about in all
Right.
these years that we had separation between two. I always wanted to know how you looked at that because there was two circumstances. I used to look at it as deja vu, and I'm probably when you just said that, it made me think that maybe you look at it as a form of deja vu also, because the circumstances with me was like, three people died and three people were allowed to walk.
Right.
Me, you, and Sam lived. Dave, Mom, and Dre were murdered. Right. Fast forward, right when I sent you to California, it was the exact
same thing.
number. Right. I was one again in that living of people who made it through while other people were murdered in the house that I was in a home invasion, scenario. So I used to look at it like, damn, that's deja vu. I never really got to ask you, how does my brother look at it? Because he escaped. He left prior to, in both scenarios, before things happened. Long before, I'm gonna say long before, but well before things happened.
It was only a month or so before I left that funk went off, that everything jumped off down there. So it was like maybe a month, a couple months, somewhere around there.
But I mean, in both situations, you left prior to home invasions and your family, your loved ones being murdered. How did you process that mentally?
You want to know what helped? The first one, because I think I was so young, I didn't understand it. But when that drama happened down there on St. Clair, JD was instrumental. He was like you again.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So you know how JD was. JD was no nonsense BS, but he loved him some Benji. You get what I'm saying? Like, he was you all over again. So he was the one, son this, son that, talking to me, how you doing? He would literally put me in the Rolls Royce, man. And he's like, let's just go drive. Let's just go ride. And he'd talk to me and he'd ask me stuff and he'd talk to me about stuff. So, and he was the spiritual dude. So he took on that role because I was like, man, like, why in the heck, what's special about me? Like, why do I keep evading these situations? And it would break me down because I'm like, we know how Corey was. We knew how Pimp was. We knew how smart he was. Everybody knew how smart he was. And I was like, he told me the day I left, he was like, man, if I could go with you, I would. We literally sat outside that same day. We were talking. He was like, man, if I could go with you, I would. He's like, I want to get out of here. And you know what broke me down at that moment? Is because I told JD that while we were talking. We was riding in the Rolls Royce, man, and we was talking. And it was like, man, you know what? Corey, Linda's son, told me, man, if he wanted to come, if he could. And you know what JD told me? He was like, I'd have brought him. And that hit me hard as bricks. And I don't think I've ever told anybody that part of that story. Like, it stuck with me. It stayed with me because he wanted to leave. We had that conversation before we left. So JD, rest in peace, man. But he was that for me. So everywhere I went, man, in that phase of life, somebody has been there to kind of keep me mentally sane, because I had my moments too, man. Like, it was stuff that as I got older and I started processing, that anger started to come out a little bit more. And I noticed how it wasn't that good. Like, when my anger came out, it was a different level. And I was like, I can't do that. And JD was that for me, just like he was for all that time growing up back home.
Yeah, I was wondering, as in your adult life, have you ever looked back on it and looked at it as like, there's a greater purpose for me? Or how have you ever looked, because I mean, I know you have conversations in your mind, your conscience, and you look at it like, why me, or why did that happen? Do you ever looked at it like, it was all meant to be, or
what's crazy is
place at the right time, or you just special, or you had a greater purpose? How did you define that in your mind?
We think alike in this way. I'm of course, I come out here, JD's a spiritual dude. You get what I'm saying? I left March 12th, 97. So March 12th, I always attributed myself to being Jesus had 12 disciples. And I'd never really been in church. So I had to take my mind into that aspect and create something positive out of it. Like, okay, I came out of this situation on the 12th. Something must be different about me. You know, I had to grab a hold of whatever I could grab a hold of. And you know how it is. Sometimes it's weed, sometimes it's women, sometimes it's a scripture, sometimes it's talking to so-and-so, somebody who see it different than you. But I always processed it that way. And I was fortunate enough that whenever, and I call them angels, to be honest, when somebody would come to my way and they would do something out of the ordinary and it benefited me, I looked at that always, man, as like, yo, like that was God looking out for me. And I had to take it to that point because by this time, I done lost everything too. And I'm here. I showed you the house we was living in. The house is huge, man. Like JD was living it up, but I'm regretful because I'm like, man, my brother ain't here. My mom ain't here. Andre ain't here. And I lived with that remorse because I'm like, I don't even have no little brother to look after. Like you would look out for me. So you were that saving line. You get what I'm saying? I was that saving line for you and vice versa, but I didn't have that to fall back on. So
you didn't have your little brother to continue the succession.
Right.
The same
I didn't
thing
have
I
him.
did with you to be able to do with him and, you know, to have that same type of different big brother, little brother relationship with him.
Right. And that hit me all the time. So I always had my moments to where I was like, man, if my little brother was here, I would have did it this way. Maybe I would have did it a little different. So I lived with those moments every day of my life. And even to this day, sometimes I still think of that. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So like I have the back end of a lot of this stuff that even though I'm out of all the chaos, bro, all of that still followed me out here. Because I'm in a better situation, but mentally, like, and JD didn't play, man. He was no nonsense. He was no BS. He had his grace about him, and he would do things, but he wasn't trying to let me fail. It was, you can't fail. I brought you out here so that you could be successful. So the pressure was different, and I didn't understand that because I'm like, we coming from doing whatever we want to do. And now here I am. Yeah, I'm in the big house. I'm in this, I'm doing that. And the pressure is different. So I was like, man, this is crazy.
Like, your childhood was mostly kind of like that because, I mean, you was like, what, 8 when mom passed? So you really
7, 8 years old. Yeah.
So from 8 on, like, it was a smorgasbord. It was like Fiesta. We could do whatever the fuck we wanted. It was like, we had, what was it, like 7 of us? 7 boys?
Philip, Martin Wayne, Barry, Larry, Leon, me, you.
Her 5 kids and her sister 2 kids. Like, man, 7 boys in one house. Like,
right. It was wild, man. But I tell you what, man, the moments, man, they still etched in my memory. A lot of it, man, because a lot of it was a bunch of drama. But man, look back on it now, man. Like we held together, my man. Like we've been through it to hell and back. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But we still ain't. It's like we haven't been stopped, man. It's like, and it's getting better and better and better as the years go by. And I personally believe it's going to get better than even what it is now. So it's been crazy, bro. We've chopped this up a little bit. You know, we probably gonna have to do something else. You know what I'm saying? And make some more happen and dig into it a little bit. Maybe have a therapist on or something and kind of talk in length like that. But man, this has been real, man. Like this has been legit. You got any more questions you've been wanting to ask me before we even kind of get to it and wrap this up and turn it over to Ken?
No, I don't have have any more questions, I mean, there's still more layers we can continue to peel back,
Yeah.
and so many more stories that we could tell. You know, we dive into
Right.
coming from Bunton, son of
Bunton.
Southside Dallas, and the
Never
lifestyle of
love
living that,
Bunton.
and
They don't know
and
that's what the
all
B
that come
is
with
for,
it.
though. They don't know that.
You
They
know.
don't always know that. They don't always know that. They just see the B and they don't know. But just so y'all know, it's not just for the Red Sox. This is for where we come from. There's a lot of memories back home,
The
man.
big B's for the banks, though, you know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It has its layers, man. But again, man, this was dope, man. Like we never really chopped it up and asked each other these questions and talked about some of this stuff. And man, it's crazy because every time I talk to you, even when we just chopping it up, man, there's always something that comes out, man, that gives me more hope.
Always.
Because I learn more about myself even when I'm talking to you, man. Because you big bro, but man, listen, I'll always be grateful, man, for you. You basically saved my life, so I'm forever.
I mean, I had to. That was my responsibility, bro. You my brother. You know what I mean? So you was the last thing that would connect me to our mom. You know what I mean? Like that's my immediate family. You know what I mean? And I suffered from that because I do have family, but you know, after losing you, Dre, and Mom, it's like I'm isolated. You know what I mean? I don't really, I don't fuck with my family like everybody fuck with their family. And you don't either. You know what I mean?
I don't either. But as just stems from, man, like they don't know what we know. We've been quiet about it. You get what I'm saying? So
I mean, I still, you know, and I know I need to let go. I still harbor resentment because, you know, as a kid, I feel like there's different things that could have been done, you know, for both of us. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, you know, looking back on it, they should have never let me make the decision to let us stay in South fucking Dallas and Bunton and Dallas, period. We should have been went with if we was gonna go, which ultimately happened because you went to JD and Betty. We should have went then when the tragedy first happened, so we could be still under structure because that's what we was used to. We was used to
the bad part about that, though,
we weren't used to.
Here's the bad part. There's another story to that because although JD wanted us to go, there's another story behind that. Like I said, we ain't gonna put.
No, I understand that it was all about money, but they ultimately gave it down. They asked me.
Right.
I was the deciding vote. Right. If I said go this way or go that way, that's the way it was. And they did it as a more of a sympathy vote. I ain't gonna say no names, but it falls back to that story I told about my mom, where you know she was trying to help someone out, and the money that she was lending to help them out ultimately paid for her doom. You know, trying to be nice. But back to that, you know, the people who, and for lack of better words, were responsible for that. They're the ones who convinced me to stay there, right? Because it was like, well, if he say he want to stay, then he'll stay. But if he say he want to go, let's go. So let's focus on him. You know how you doing game shows and different stuff.
They didn't want that money leaving.
Focus on the most thing. Nah, and then they end up fucking over. So you know, we got not one picture for my mom, not one trinket of jewelry. My mom had minks to the floors, diamonds on every finger. You know, she loved to take pictures. She was the most photogenic woman ever. That was Instagram and Snapchat when she was on this. She'd have 1 million followers. She'd be flap, snap, selfie here and there. Because she used to drag us to take pictures. I hate taking pictures, but my mom took millions of pictures.
I hate taking pictures too, but man, she was drop dead gorgeous, man.
I have not one single photo of my mom and her beautiful smile. She had the most beautiful smile of any woman anywhere. And I'm not saying this because of my mom, but I am saying it's because of my mom. But I'm just saying, if you saw it, you would agree. I guarantee you would agree. And I don't have nothing. And I blame the people who coerced me into staying because, mind you, for all selfish reasons, had I went and stayed with JD, I would have got put up on a different level of game than even you got put up on.
Yeah,
right.
It was different
because
level.
He messed with me on a different level than you because I was older.
Right.
And he loved mom so much, and I was her recipient. I was her little fucking scan, right? Like I was a carbon copy of her, but they apart. You know what I mean? On our actual birthday. So like when I was there with JD would put me up on all kinds of things. So when I look back at it, I'm like, man, they shouldn't have left it up to me to decide. That was the best interest of the kids should have been put up for what will determine where we went. And I was, for lack of selfish reasons, I wanted to stay with my aunt and my cousins.
Right.
I didn't want to go be. I knew Aunt Betty was the truth. I knew whatever mom was, Aunt Betty was 2.0.
Yeah.
She was the original doctrine. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They was like twins. That was her big sister. Whatever her big sister was on, she was on. You know what I mean? I didn't want to go there. I was like, man, I had all these years of this hovering above me. I need a happy birthday. I need a birthday cake. Mom was two. And
bro,
as kids, as children, you know, our parents know best. We shouldn't we're not supposed to go on what we think or what we want. Because we're gonna go for the happy birthday, but what we need is the discipline and the structure and the guidelines, right? And if I had chose that, you know, it'd have been a different outcome. I mean, obviously we had a tragedy, but it'd have been a different outcome in our lives. We'd have still been together in a more conducive environment for both of us. And then you wouldn't have felt that part. Well, you wouldn't have had to go through that part. You went through it to be on Skid Row, whatever that experience, because you'd have had your big brother there also with you. It would have been like two kids from Dallas moving to Bel Air, the story of Fresh Prince of Bel Air, but we'd have been that story.
Right.
Essentially.
But you know what's crazy is you was catching it with mama. I was catching it from you, but when I came out here, I caught it from Aunt Betty, bro.
Oh no, she was gonna get it to both of us. She was gonna get it to both of us. That's why I decided to stay in Dallas. I fucked our life up because I was like, nah.
Bro,
I need a break. I need a break. Mom,
and it made me good. It made me leave. Like I was like, yo, like, yeah.
I mean, that might have been what happened. It might would have happened to me. I don't know. I might couldn't have took it. I might have checked out before you checked out. We might have both revolted from under so we would have callous. Who knows?
Both ran out somewhere
together. Shit, you know.
Man, it was man. What's crazy is that even though we talked for almost an hour, 30 minutes, there's so many pieces to this story, man. It's just so many pieces, so many things. And like I said, bro, I appreciate you coming on and having this session with us. We definitely will have to dive into this a little bit more. But again, man, the respect level is different from me to you. And I appreciate that, man. That's one thing I'll always remember. So my respect level, I know we ain't too lovey all the time. You know what I'm talking about? We ain't in each other's face, calling each other every 5 minutes and all of that. That's our detachment issues, bro. That's just how both of us are. Man, I need you to know, man, off the top, man, there ain't nobody ever loved me like you, man. So that brotherly love, man. That's how we do it. Aside from God, if I ever needed and knew, I know you was gonna keep it solid with me. So again, man, I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you opening up a little bit and chatting with us about this, man. This moment will be forever etched in my memory. So
that's for sure. That's for sure. One little other thing. I mean, I gotta get out of here with a bang, with a laugh. My boy, you talking about playing football? He used to hate me, man, because I used to be so hard on him when we
clothesline.
Man, the man didn't even want to be on my team. One time the man decided this is the worst mistake he ever made. He decided that I was so hard on him, telling him how to play, trying to make him the best, obviously, that he wanted to go play on the other side.
I remember.
Since I play, that I get to play defense. So guess who I focused on? I remember.
I remember. That's all good.
I'm like, you got the audacity to play for the other team? You gonna regret that?
Yeah, I got up. You know me. I used to always get up. They used to hit me. I remember getting close and all of that.
No. I used to, when you switched to the other team, I hit you. You got up, but you had tears in your eyes. You were crying like, always.
Yeah, but I still got up. I still got up to run another play. Yes, sir. But it
was all love, bro. I just wanted to make you better and make you tough. I thought I was the best
Yeah, but I also remember that one time I got you in the nose too. Yeah.
That was a good one. That was a good one.
Too.
That was a good one. You did.
Like
You did.
That was from God right there. I just wanted you to know that.
I got up from that play like this little sucker got me. I'm like, look at my little bro. He really got me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember.
He know next time I'm gonna fuck him up.
Man, this is dope, man. Kid, let me turn this back over to you, man. Again, thank you. Hey, man, on the strength, man, on the real, shout out to Ken for that's Kinfolk, man, for giving us this opportunity to be on this platform, even welcome me on the podcast. Much respect to my boy Ken, his family, the Boston family, all of that. Hey, bro, I just want you to know this Kinfolk right here, because his aunt married Dwayne.
Oh yeah, you told me about that. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What's up, cuz?
This Kinfolk. So this is a family affair, to be honest with you. So
okay, say less. That's what's up.
Yes, sir. Ken, go ahead, take it over, man. Do what you do, man. And like I said, man, appreciate you, man. Appreciate you.
Hey, man. I feel privileged to be able to be privy to this session, you know what I'm saying, at all, and to hear these stories, to, you know what I'm saying, to have, you know, of course, done my due diligence when you told me about it initially, to go back and kind of read the articles and even, you know, take a look at the episodes of the shows that, you know, the story appeared on. But to get this type of context into your life, into y'all life, into the whole story, I feel like I just sat through an amazing Academy Award winning movie. You know, like for real, like it's that much detail and story to it that I think, you know, it goes beyond the realm of entertaining, but you just immersed, you know what I'm saying, in the story. Like you all telling your story took me through, you know what I'm saying, like visually, I'm trying to visualize like what you all went through. Of course, I could never feel it, and I wouldn't want to feel it because that's tough.
Yeah.
Like, it was tough for me just to listen to you all talk about it, and to be able to articulate it the way you all did was nothing short of amazing for me, because I'm like, this, like you said, you were born with the resilient gene, gotta be, because to go through such traumatic things and to have the strength that you all got is nothing short of amazing. And I told Benji before, man, when he first told me about, you know, everything, because, you know, growing up and, you know, being around y'all when y'all were in Lancaster, you know what I'm saying, because we live right around the corner.
Right the corner from each other,
yeah.
So, you know, I had no clue. And this is the thing about life, man. You have no clue, especially as a kid, what other kids are going through.
Right.
So that's why it's important for us to instill in our own children to be careful with how they handle their classmates and other kids around them, because we were just playing. You know, we're outside doing things. We don't know what other kids are going through. So thank God for me, I wasn't one of those kids that was, you know what I'm saying, going hard on everybody and talking crazy about people and their circumstances, because, you know what I'm saying, we just wanted to have fun.
Right.
Wanted to connect with people, you know what I'm saying? And that's the type of relationship that me and Benji always had. So when we reconnected, it was just great energy.
It was just natural.
Just continuation. So, but like I said, man, I mean, I was just privy just to sit there and watch, man. That's why I didn't have too many questions. I was just like, I want to hear the story. I'm like the people in the audience, like, I want to hear the story. I want to hear, you know what I'm saying, how you all dealt with these things and the details that you all provided, man. Whew, it's heavy. It's heavy, man. It's heavy. It's heavy on me. And like I said, I didn't even go through it. So, you know, I can only imagine the emotional, you know, baggage that you all have from that. And like Benji said, maybe one day we could have like a therapist or something join us and kind of talk through some of the stuff that y'all were talking about.
Unpack. It's still a lot of things.
It's a lot to unpack. It ain't even
still a lot of things.
Like I said, we've been in it for about over an hour and 30, man. And honestly, man, we didn't even crack the surface. And this is why the stories that are out there, when they are put out there, the ones that were printed, the ones that were put out there, we look at them because, like, they don't know. Like they're just writing stuff for to get their props or to be a journalist or whatever. Like they don't know these parts. Like they can't sympathize with us. They just putting an article out there. So like we know the ins and the outs of it, and it's just so much that wasn't even discussed. Like it's just crazy. It gets to a level 10. If there's a higher level than the 10, it can get higher than that, to be honest. So.
And that's one thing I shared with you earlier is I'm just dumbfounded that nobody ever reached out to y'all, to get context, to talk about it, because we're not talking about, the original news articles that occurred when, everything went down. We're talking about recent history,
right?
That, with all this technology, these people can find whoever they want to find.
Right. And you know what's crazy though? Like I said, we kind of talked about this off air when we were backstage, is that they didn't know I was even alive.
Yeah, and see, that's what I'm saying. That's
like there was stories circulating that me and my brother were no longer living. You get what I'm saying? Because of how crazy the case was back then. But there was a lot. Like I said, there's like stuff that we didn't even unpack that's like crazy. You get what I'm saying? But like I said, I believe it's the season to where we get this out and we push it out there, man. I think we need it off of us, per se. Like we've carried it for a long enough time, and I think we just need to put it out there and just deal with it and get it off of us, because I believe greater is coming. And even though this story is a part of our life, there's way more to dive into, because somebody needs to understand how resilient. If you be resilient, man, you can make it. You can get
that. That's the greater point that I want to get out there. That's the point that I want to, stand on and reiterate. Things that we through were tragic, and my brother. I know it's hard on him, but I almost look at it like I was in the storm. Like he was like on the outskirts and he felt the effects, but I was actually inside of it and saw it all. The bear witness to go forth and tell a more detailed version of it. And the thing that I always want to get to people is like, don't let these type of things destroy you. To a certain extent, they have hindered me, but they never to the point to where I wanted to take my own life, or I wanted to give up, or I never wanted to make the next day better than the day before. I never woke up like that. And all the loss that I have, I never felt like, oh, woe is me, or, this is the worst. I can't go beyond this. I always felt like, yeah, this is messed up. And, if I tell the story, people will think, how horrible, but I'm like, yo, shit, I'm still here. Still doing it. I still got opportunity. I still have a chance. I'm still moving. There's still things that I can do. There's still people that I can impact with my story. And that's probably the greater part of it, is the people whose lives that may not have that resilient gene, who may not have that ability to keep on going and keep on pushing. The people who, the smallest thing in their mental, when I go back to mental health, those things that plague us, that make over and over again, that we, at the time, we can't get in. We don't have an answer for. We don't have a way to get past it. We just try to think about it. It gives me so much anxiety. Those are the things that kill people all the time, because they end their lives thinking that that's it, but it's not.
That's right.
I'm a testament of that. It's not. I'm sitting right here right now. It's not. You know what I mean? I never for one second thought about taking my life. I just, I was like, damn, it's fucked up. Damn, I wish this couldn't be. This is hard, but I was like, hey, maybe I'm made to go through this fire, to be forged through this fire, like the Fire podcast. It forges you. You know what I mean? It fire is what molds and strengthens, and you can create something out of the fire that can be even more beautiful than what was destroyed by the fire. You know what I mean? Passing the information on to other people. That's what's well. Maybe I don't see the beauty per se in my life, but someone else can grab a hold of it.
Somebody else can see
listen to my story, and it can be more impactful in their lives going forward to prevent them from going through the things that I went through.
That's no doubt. That's no doubt.
Usually we have to ask the guests for a motivational moment. I think you've already said it. You've already That's it right there. That's a great way to, to close everything out. And the only other thing I wanted to add was, resiliency and purpose. You guys have a purpose for your life. I'm one to believe in that. I've been through a lot in my life that people might not even know about. So I get it especially when Benji was talking about earlier, he feels like he narrowly escapes, things. And I've had similar stories. So right. I get it, but I know now, especially the guy's got a purpose for what my life is supposed to be, even if I don't understand it myself. So
exactly
for being here, and man, I'm glad y'all here. I'm glad y'all were able to come on today and talk through this a little bit. But y'all, it's so much more to unpack. But we're grateful that we had this moment. Hey man, this is a beautiful moment. It's beautiful.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm happy to be here.
Yes, sir.
So we'll go ahead and close it out like we usually do. Cecil, we usually let our guests, give a shout out, represent your set, let everybody get in touch with you, on social media, things of that nature.
Man, y'all can find me on Facebook, MRR Banks, Mr. Banks. I took the moniker of my grandfather. I was real close to him. He used to take me under his wing. They called him Banks, so now everybody called me Banks. I look at myself as kind of like the patriarch of my family. So the next generation. So yeah, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Mr. Banks, Snapchat, same thing, The Banks Show. I'm going to be starting this podcast, SPN, with Street Perspective News, from guys like us with things that are in the news, what we think about it from our perspective. Hope to, gather some other people's perspective and, to help feel this. But yeah, that's about it. Just appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, man. Give me this platform. Y'all, a part of y'all platform to share my story, my part of the story. Get it out there. It feels good to get it out there. And thank you. Appreciate it.
No doubt.
No doubt.
Love. Dallas, Texas, that up. Triple D representative. Out here in Phoenix, Arizona, my home. I live in Phoenix, but Dallas is my home. It'll always be my
time. Fun time. Yes, sir.
We went to the West Coast, but we West Coast down south niggas. You know what
I mean? Yes, sir.
All right, Benji.
Hey, man, y'all know where to find me at. Find me on my IG, BRB4701. Find me on Facebook, Benji Banks. Can't help but miss. You can't miss me. My name is out there. You can't miss me. But I got something coming up for y'all, man. We got this new French brand line of wine coming out. Stay tuned for that. It's called Bossier. We're gonna put that out there for y'all. We're creating another business. We're creating another line. So stay in tune. Keep checking us out. As always, keep subscribing and liking the Fiyah Session podcast. We're just gonna get better and better and better and better. That's all we do. Yes, sir. So I appreciate y'all. Y'all go look me up. Y'all go check me out, and hopefully buy some wine from me. I think you'll love it.
No doubt. Well, y'all already know. Y'all can follow me at Big Ken's Comedy on IG, Big Ken's Comedy on Twitter, Big Ken's Comedy on Facebook, and you can also follow the Fiyah Session podcast on all social media platforms. Make sure you go to YouTube, like and subscribe that channel so you can help us grow, so we can get more great content out to a larger audience.
Yes,
we always thank y'all for y'all support and y'all dope ideas that y'all submit. So keep submitting the ideas, for guests that you want to see on, topics that you want to see discussed, because we listening. So keep talking to us. All right, we ain't gonna hold y'all up. We're gonna let y'all get back to these tacos, because it's Taco
Tuesday, baby.
And we're gonna let y'all enjoy the rest of y'all week. Y'all make sure y'all tune in next week for another dope episode. We love y'all. Y'all already know it's the Fiyah Session podcast. Peace.
Deuces.
Follow us on all social media platforms. Just search Fiyah Session Podcast.